Boom. Here they are, New York style egg bagels that I made while in Idaho. Guys, this recipe's so easy, you're gonna dig it, and I even steal a trick from Montreal. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to my channel, please do so. Let's make some bagels.
All right, it's really simple. We start with the dry ingredients first, and I've always been someone who likes to cook sort of by feel, so I'm not weighing this out. And I've done this 6 or 7 times already and had really good luck with just 4 cups of all purpose flour. Just trimming off the flour on top and kind of eyeballing it seems to work fine. I think bread flour would probably work great, but these are very strange times. If you're watching this later, this is during the 2020 quarantine slash flour slash yeast shortage that happened in the world. All right, the next ingredient is just instant yeast. It's not active dry yeast. It's not rapid rise yeast. It's instant yeast. And they sell it by the quart basically for $3, and you can keep it for up to a year. Buy it online, keep it. And we need very, very little of this because it does a whole number. So I'm just using a teaspoon of instant yeast. After that, we're going to go on to a tablespoon of salt. Now, this is diamond crystal kosher salt, which I find to be like the least dense and least salty salt. So a tablespoon of it. But if you're using table salt, I would use a teaspoon. We're also going to put in a tablespoon of sugar. We're going to put just half a teaspoon of turmeric. Now, we're not toasting it or anything. It does not have a very strong flavor, but it really makes these egg bagels look super yellow. So it's an optional step. If you have it around, my guess is you're probably not using it often. This is a perfect time to use it. It's going to make that Instagram photo look so much better. Okay, now mix it all together and let's move on to the wet stuff. All right, so we're going to have 2 egg yolks here. So crack them open, separate the whites from the yolks, and save those whites for something else. Like make yourself a nice cocktail with some whipped egg whites. I think that sounds absolutely delicious. Or an egg white omelet. Why don't you do that? And then we're going to take these yolks and we're going to mix them with just a bit of water. How much water, Frankie? How about 1 cup and a quarter? 1 cup and a quarter, which I think comes out to 310 milliliters if you are using that. Now I mix the water with the yolks here so we have homogeneous color and egg yolk spreadization. I'm inventing words. That's what I do. All right, so we're basically turning on the machine. I was going with the second lowest setting here. We're pouring in our liquid, and over the course of the next 15 minutes, we're just going to scrape down the sides and continue to let this mix and knead and mix and knead. After about 5 minutes, I usually stop the machine, get my hands in there, and try to make some kind of a ball. Bring the mass together, and then allow it to knead from there. If it's looking too craggly and too dry, just a tablespoon more of water will do the trick. All right, when 15 minutes is up, basically we take this thing out and we start working it by hand. Just try to make one really smooth ball and then cut that ball in half and turn those 2 halves into balls. That way you can take each of the 2 smaller balls and make 4, equally sized cut pieces. If you don't make the second balls, you're going to have some balls smaller than other balls. And we want equally sized balls. So what I like to do here is basically fold the thing in on itself. I keep stretching the top and pushing the bottom up and in. I'm going to do that 8 whole times until I have 8 bagel balls, basically. And then what I'm going to do is stick my thumb through the center, really pierce it all the way through, get those 2 fingers, the index fingers, into that hole, and start spinning that thing around and stretching that ear hole. Really stretch it more than you think. It's very satisfying to do this. You can feel the G forces on your fingers. Very soothing. Don't worry about it if they don't look super duper round. Remember, these are going to rise, they're going to be boiled in water, and they're going to be baked. So all the little imperfections will work themselves out. Let's cover this with plastic wrap. Let's stick it in the fridge for somewhere between, call it 16 and 24 hours. Here we are 18 hours later. You can see the bagels have risen a little bit. They're still misshapen, but they're certainly more bagel-like than they were when they went into the fridge. So now we're going to get a wide pot of water. We don't need a whole lot of water, maybe 3 inches of water in there. And to that pot of water, which we're bringing to a boil, we are going to add 3 tablespoons of honey. Now, this is a trick that they use in Montreal to make the bagels sweet. New York bagels are boiled in like a malt sugar type water, and the honey is nice. So don't skip this step. It's a good one. And what we're going to do is we're going to put these bagels in one at a time with the top side down first. That's going to be the beauty side. Let them boil there for anywhere from 20 to 40 seconds. Flip them over, do the same on the other side, and return them to the sheet tray. Now, if you're really smart, you're going to spray that sheet tray with a little bit of Pam so it doesn't stick when it comes out of the oven. This is something that I did in my 5 tests, and I forgot to do this time. And I struggled a little bit getting one of the bagels off of the parchment paper. It wasn't a big deal, but that did happen. Did you ever make those frozen super pretzels as a kid? Remember how you had to wet it first and then stick the pretzel salt to it? Well, we've got the same thing happening here. Wet bagel is basically glue to anything you want to put on it. I'm using black sesame seeds because I had them and I think they look really cool on camera. But this is your big opportunity to make egg everything bagels or onion bagels or sesame seed bagels or poppy seed bagels or really whatever you want. Or you can leave them plain. They're just fine that way too. Now, we're going to set the oven to 420 degrees. Of note, I'm at 6,000 feet. So water boils at 200 degrees instead of 212, which means it evaporates a little quicker. So I'm trying to slow down the cooking process. If you're at sea level, I would say 450. I would say pop these in a 450 degree oven. And then we're monitoring them. We're looking for just the bits of brown on top. Sorry about this oven. I know it's super dirty, but I'm trying out a new format here. I will clean it up, I promise. 18 to 25 minutes, let's say. Look for the brownness on there. Just watch it happen. And then pull them out. Admire the beauty of the bagels that you just made. Is it an H&H bagel from Broadway and 70-something Street in the early 1990s? No, it is not. But it is better than every deli outside of New York City, as far as I can tell. These are easy to make. You should do it. Put some cream cheese on there. Maybe you want to throw a little butter. It reminds me of the days taking the school bus to school. I would get picked up at like 6:50 in the morning. They would pick up kids all around Central Park, and then I would be dropped off, and I would go to the Green Tree Deli on 89th Street, and I would order a TBB for 80 cents, a toasted buttered bagel. And when I had an extra quarter for $1.05, I would get a TBB with B, which is a toasted buttered bagel with bacon. Maybe this is too much information for you, but I just want to let you know. The bagel is delicious. It's also good with B. It's also good with extra B.
Well, there it is, guys. New York style bagels cooked with a little bit of Montreal flair and made in Idaho. I hope you make this recipe. Please subscribe to my channel. And remember, if you're at sea level, raise your oven temperature to about 450. That should give you the same pop and rise as I got here. Have a good one.